Hey everybody!
Welcome back.
I guess we're being welcome back because we've
It
been kind of gone.
It has been a minute.
What's been going on, Lise?
Chemo. Chemo has kicked my booty.
Why don't you tell us about it?
So last we left off, I think, was quite a while ago, and we were heading into treatment number 3 of chemo. The first 2 were compared to the third and the fourth. So the way chemo works is I had phase 1, and it was 4 rounds of a very aggressive chemo cocktail, they call it. So rounds 1 and 2 were tough, but then rounds 3 and 4 were excruciating, hence the delay in getting updates out. So with rounds 1 and 2, I think we had mentioned in our last video that there was about a 7 to 8 day period afterwards where you just don't feel well, and then you kind of start feeling okay, and then you go back in for another round. With chemo 3 and 4, there were basically 12 days of not feeling good. You have 1 day that you feel okay, and then you go back in. So the last 2 rounds of the first phase were really, really rough. And in that time, so if you're not familiar with chemo, you have to do labs each day before your chemo infusion. And was it round 3 where the levels had dropped? So they have to make sure that your body is fit to take the next chemo infusion. So with round 3, I just felt awful, just awful. And part of that was because my blood levels had dropped so low, so I ended up needing a blood transfusion before I could take the next.
It was a platelet transfusion, so the blood levels are measuring are your white blood cell count, hemoglobin, platelets, all that. So her platelet count was really, really low. White blood cell wasn't great, but yeah, it was within a range that was tolerable for going in. But the platelet count, I mean, her energy level just walking 20 feet was as if she'd run a half marathon. Getting out of bed was like a really big physical feat. I'm talking about like literally getting up, not getting up and doing anything, just getting out of the bed.
To go to the bathroom.
To go to the bathroom, which was like 15 feet away from the bed, was a process to kind of manage through. So
yeah, so we ended up going in. That was our longest actual chemo day. Usually the infusions at that point were about 3.5 hours, I would say, something along there. The blood transfusion day was about 6.5, I think. But I felt an immediate difference. Once I had the blood transfusion, my body felt like it was coming back to life. And so I made it through round 3. The period afterwards, like you mentioned, was really rough. I was terrified to go in for round 4. Just knowing what had happened before. And round 4, they actually gave me a different anti-nausea medication. So one thing, we have a lot of new people join the channel, just sharing our journey. If you are going through chemo and your anti-nausea medications aren't working, make sure you're letting the doctors know, because they can give you different variations. So for round 4, they did give a different anti-nausea medication, which helped make round 4. It was still awful, but it wasn't quite as bad as round 3 recovery.
So basically for Lisa's chemo treatments, as she had mentioned, there's part 1 and there's part 2. So part 1 was this medicine that she had talked about, and there was 4 of those particular rounds that she had
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, because the effects were so just tough to kind of work through. And in part 2, which is where she's at now, those are weekly, and there's 12 of those total in going through. So
And we just hit the halfway point with those.
Those
so
ones, exactly.
We have 6 weeks left of the second. So if you are curious, round 1 was called AC, adriamycin.
Yeah.
And they refer to that as the red devil because it's in a red syringe. And the second phase is with Taxol.
And when they give you the red syringe, they actually wear
hazmat suits.
Kind of the hazmat type suit. And you're like, wait, you have to wear that to inject this into her body? What? Like it's kind of crazy in going through. But you know, we're in the Taxol phase at this point. No walk in the park, but because the first 8 weeks were so challenging, this seems a lot better because this is an important note. It's a Sunday right now as we're recording this. Sunday about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and typically in the first 8 weeks at this point, Lisa was quickly starting to go downhill, and downhill being like bedridden, pain, nausea, barely mobile. And kind of going along, and there was a lot of other medication that we had to give her at different times throughout the day. So it was just, I was just tracking the clock, trying to keep some kind of food, in her, some kind of nourishment, because just getting the medicine down, just having her sip water, hydrate to flush the chemo out of her system, that was a whole chore because taking a sip of water was difficult, and it tasted weird to her as well. So it was a wild period, not a walk in the park now, as we've mentioned, but better relatively than where things were at then. So you know, that's what it is. So one day at a time still continues to be our motto. So anything else to say about Taxol, you know, with where we're at now in that phase?
I feel like at this point we kind of know what to expect each week, so it makes it a little bit easier. The anxiousness of what the heck are we doing has kind of gone, so we kind of have our system down. Thursdays is lab days. You go in early in the morning, make sure everything looks good. Friday is chemo day. So right now it's about a 2-hour process, which I feel like we're in and out. With Taxol, we are doing the ice therapy for hands and feet to hopefully minimize the neuropathy that can develop. So we kind of have that down. We got Iceman here managing the ice and switching things out. And I feel like we're hitting a groove, and knowing there's 6 weeks left, if we can stay on track, it helps to kind of see that there will be an end to this instead of just being kind of stuck in this endless journey. It seems like, okay, we have a path forward and we can kind of see in the distance the end.
When you go through
phase 1.
When you go through challenging times and you're squeezed, what's inside of you really comes out, right? So as we've gone through this phase with Taxol and we've had to put ice on Lisa's feet, she was squeezed, it was challenged, and you know what came out of her? All of the lyrics to Ice Ice Baby. She knew everything. Like, I knew stop, collaborate, and listen. Ice is back. Yeah, here it goes, right?
Grabs a hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know.
She can keep going. She can keep going.
I'll spare you.
She was icing her feet, and I was like, who is this? Who is this? Wow. She knew every lyric as we were icing. So anyhow.
Gotta keep them guessing.
Most importantly, right? Yeah, this is not an experience that we would wish upon anybody. But you know what you gotta keep doing, and what we've kept doing is we've kept smiling, we've kept laughing, we've kept having fun. And what if any of you have seen the little posts that we've done on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, where we're laughing in the infusion center or on the way there, or have a pump up list of music that we're listening to going over there. That's what we gotta do. And you gotta keep laughing, because laughing is healing, telling jokes, living, enjoying all those little things. That's what we've been continuing to try and do amidst the storm, because you can't just sit there and camp. Or, I mean, you can, we're just choosing not to. And when I say we, I'm really trying to set that environment, but it's really Lisa that has to live in that space, and she's been doing it, and she's been, you know, taking my little random jokes, like when I was icing her feet, I was like, oh my God, I'm giving you cold feet.
Yes.
Yeah, all these sorts of things, and we've been having a lot of laughter. And the infusion center, so the nurses that have been treating Lisa they're just really phenomenal human beings to be around, sharing their stories, very kind, very caring, and that's made the time pass and be really cool in the journey and kind of going through. Really cool, literally.
Yeah, it's almost like they become like your family because you see them every single week, and it's just like family.
That's it.
Where are we going?
It's infusion time. So you're gonna handle this like a boss. Like the boss.
We got our playlist going.
I got a playlist for our 10-minute drive. So there's been more life going on besides chemo and cancer, and this is a wig. You'll see Lisa wearing a hat and her wig or her little cap going on and whatnot. But all of your hair has now been gone for probably about
quite a while.
Probably about 2 months now.
I still haven't completely embraced that. That is challenging.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. Like, I guess I knew, but I didn't know the extent. But you do, in addition to your hair coming out, like everywhere, you lose your eyebrows and your eyelashes. And I didn't think that would happen so soon. So it's just a very weird feeling. When I go out, I do have my hat, my little halo wig. I'll have to do a video on the halo wigs because they are phenomenal. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but I keep them by the door where I hang my hat, I hang up my little halo wig, and it's different than a full wig. It's just easy. You throw it on, it doesn't have a top, and you throw a hat on, and I love it.
Yeah.
But I haven't quite embraced my bald head and going in public. And with no eyebrows or eyelashes, you just feel kind of like alien-like. It's weird. It's weird to get used to, and I don't know if I will ever get used to it, but we're rolling with it.
Rolling with it one day at a time and allowing it to pass. What else has been going on? So just some quick little life updates, little life nuggets. We'll have the kids kind of share a little bit about what's been going on, but what else you got, Lise?
I think the big thing, Preston had his 8th birthday in October, and he got to fly co-pilot an airplane.
Like
a
actually
little Cessna.
Fly. Yeah, a friend of mine actually is a pilot, and we were able to rent a Cessna for an hour, and he got to go up and sit at the wheel next to my good buddy. I was in the back as well, and then
equally as
smiley and excited. And then we landed, and then Kira was gonna fly, and Kira decided she didn't want to fly. So Preston was like, "I'll fly again." And I was like, "Nope, I'm gonna fly." So we all had a good afternoon, and Mom sat and watched as we went up and whatnot. But it was a really powerful experience. It's really cool when you get to see just the shine in your kids' eyes, because Preston is passionate about aviation. I mean, you know, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'm infatuated with aviation as well. I haven't really flown much or any of that stuff, but he had been talking about it for a while, so I asked him. I said, "Hey, Uncle Kevin's going to be around for your birthday. Would you want to go up on your birthday and go for a little ride?" And that's what we did. So it was a really amazing experience.
Oh, this one? All right, yeah, that's the one I like too. So let's see. Let's put this on here. That looks good. good. I'm gonna turn on the noise canceling. Makes it quieter. Watch this. I'm gonna hold this button down. Did it get kind of quieter?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, huh?
Just, you know, making the most of it, enjoying what we can on the Preston frontier. He's had soccer, football for all of our non-American friends all over the world. He's been playing that. He's been doing well, having a good time on his team.
It was a drum concert.
Yeah, he had a drum concert, so he's still playing drums, which is cool here. He's missing Uncle Melvin still down in Barbados, but he's doing really well with drums, and we've got my old kit out of storage as well, so he's been kind of getting to tinker around here at home a little bit, and he's back in martial arts, so he's doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, keeping that kind of going for the time being. And Kira, crushing it in gym. She will be, I think her competition starts in December, and both of them, because this is the big question that many of you are asking, how they adapted with school and all that. Yeah. They're both doing really well. Both of them have A's across the board, and you know, considering all that we've gone through in the past 4 months of uplifting, pulling up all the roots and then coming out here, they're doing very well.
Adjusting back to the American system.
Yep.
So it's been really cool to see them. They both made the honor roll this first trimester. So it's really great to see that they have adjusted well to the American system. They do say, for those of you in Barbados, they do say the Barbados system is less complicated, which a lot of people have laughed and said, Barbados makes it less complicated?
Yeah, I don't know how that's possible, but they have both said that. Yeah. So that's going well, and they've both been making friends, connecting, adapting into the life here, and really feeling connected to their community at school. So we feel really blessed by that, and how that process has been kind of going. And me personally, I've had one or two gigs here and there, so still playing music regularly at home for the family, and doing that, not getting to perform out as much as I was in Barbados, but it's all good, performing a lot at home for the family, and digging in, and Preston and I have been jamming here and there, which has been pretty cool. We've done little fun things when Lisa's well enough. We've been getting her out on a big win sometimes for the day or the week, is getting her out for a walk at the park, trying to get out in nature, enjoy that. You might see I'm wearing this little bracelet here. We all have bracelets. Well, Lisa,
that's right here, actually.
Kira, and I. Preston wasn't into it.
Preston would lose his in a
and
heartbeat.
he might lose it by the time he put it on, so we decided against getting him one. But we were at a place called Apple Hill up here, and then we got some family bracelets to just wear. Sign unity, connection, and they have the stones and the crystals and all that stuff that are like that. But it was just kind of keep us connected. So we've done some fun things. Gotten to go to Apple Hill. We've gotten to take some nice walks here, just exploring our own community and connecting with some of our friends here. But being showered with love and support. So taking it one day at a time, and and Lisa's a fighter. It's been pretty amazing to see. Just her rise from going through, because it was not easy. The first 8-10 weeks of treatment were pretty darn rough. So once we get to the end of the year, then we'll know what the next steps will be, which will be something like...
Unfortunately, it doesn't end there.
Yeah, that's not... end of the year is not the end of treatment. That's the end of
chemo,
this
we hope.
chapter. Yeah.
And then we'll know more January, February. So there will be surgery. We're literally taking it one step at a time. One day at a time is our motto. Literally, this is the one phase that we're focusing on. We'll deal with the next phase once you get there.
The good news is, with progress, you haven't noticed anything within the breast indicating that the tumor is getting larger or anything like that. I mean, you're not even really feeling it anymore.
I have noticed that it has shrunk because I did feel the tumor. There's actually a couple, but I did feel it. So I've noticed through the treatment process it has shrunk. So that's a good sign, because they actually don't do scans during chemo to, at least in my case, they don't do any scans to kind of gauge if chemo's working or not. So that's kind of the only indication that we know that something is happening.
And the question will come out inevitably, so I'll just answer it. The reason at Lisa's hospital that we're going through treatment at, which is with Kaiser, that they don't do the scans during it is because it can give false positives or false negatives. It can reveal that, hey, the mass, there's still a mass that's there, so you change the course of treatment. But the mass could just be a bunch of dead cells. So you could have changed and altered a course of treatment, which was actually highly effective in working. So they're just more physically examining it, checking it. Your oncologist had even checked it. So we're not seeing any sign of growth. It seems like it's staying the course.
Yeah.
We're going to continue on this. So beginning of the year, we'll know more. But then that'll begin the next chapter in the next several months of what treatment looks like. So as Lisa said, one day at a time. Stay positive, one day at a time. And keep the faith as we're kind of moving along and going through this. And I think that's what we got. And we're coming up on American Thanksgiving, Christmas, so we're gonna figure all that out as we're kind of moving through this whole season.
Yeah,
so
we're kind of embracing the traditions that we had left behind, kind of giving the kids exposure to the things that they loved with Polar Express, Santa and Sirens is coming up. So just things that they vaguely remember. We can do that again this year and kind of make the most of being here.
You gotta do what you can do with where you're at and all that. We do all miss Barbados tremendously. Do look forward to getting back, and we're just finding beauty in the moments that we have here. And like we said, trying to smile and laugh. But when you live with a closet rapper ice pack that you didn't know, and you've been together for as long as we've been, it's like, wow. I know I was married to Ice Pack. Vanilla Ice Pack? I don't even know what we want to call you, but Vanilla Ice Pack in the house. And I think on that note, that's probably good.
I think that's good.
That's good. So that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Lots of love to all of you. We'll see you.